Good morning and welcome to the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. You are on for some great racing action through the tight trees, wide open sections, and some of the toughest rock sections we've had at Ultra 4 USA this season. And talking about Ultra 4, this is an Ultra 4 race. This is our first time here at Famous Reading, and it is an absolutely amazing facility, Pam.
Yes, it is, and the drivers are having a lot of fun out there on it. They're comparing the big, large rocks that they are going over. They are comparing it to King of the Hammers, so it's pretty cool to hear that, they're having that obstacle out here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's so much great stuff out here. So much great things out here. We are in coal country, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. There's a beautiful shot. We were able to cruise through town. It's really small. It's really tight. It's really historic. It's a beautiful place out here.
It is, and I was going through some stats on the town. It's only 4.2 square miles big is all I saw on when I was doing some research on it. And they also have their population isn't very large as well.
And look at Yuengling right there. I'm a little mad at you. You were able to sneak away and go check that facility out. But we'll have more on that later on in the show. But just here's a great aerial shot of the show. It is amazing place here for the 2023 Reading Rumble here just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania at Famous Off-Road. It's beautiful here. I am Miles Haswis alongside Mrs. Pam Hall, and we are about to go qualifying for all classes this morning.
Yes, and the drivers out speaking with them, I know you have as well. Qualifying is going to be key out here because that joker line that we have added into this race, everybody's wanting that top spot no matter what, but being in that number one spot today, getting that joker line out of the way early is going to definitely be key out here.
Strategy is going to be huge at this race, and just like we're talking about qualifying, it is going to be very important because there is going to be dust. There is going to be some traffic. The rocks are hard, and we were out there watching them doing it yesterday. It's going to be very interesting, but qualifying is going to be super important. Joker, rock sections, the dust. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. But we are about to go over the schedule and let you know, all you guys and gals back home, what's going to happen the rest of the weekend. So we are about to go live qualifying. We'll do all classes right now till about, I'm going to say 10:30. Then at noon, we'll do the 4900 UTV stock. At 2:30 will be the UTV Pro Modern Open, and then the 4600 Spider Track stock class. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. will be the youth. That'll be a half-hour race. I'm going to say it's about a third of a mile lap around the AMSOIL hot pits, and then 11:30 the EMC, 2:30 the 4400. So do not miss anything. Be sure to go to AOE.TV, go to the Ultra 4 USA Facebook, MAO Facebook, check it out, share with your friends. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be an awesome weekend right there. You can see we do have our pits set up right there. We do have our hot pits in a different area, so we will not be super close to the hot pits, but we will have a camera out there to get some action when they come through as well.
And we will have Erica Allreed that'll be joining us later on this afternoon to get some more info from the AMSOIL hot pits.
Yes, and this is such a great overview right here of the area where we are at for our Ultra 4 USA tent. We also later on this evening will be having our Drivers Appreciation Dinner, and that's always a fun time to get to chat with everybody of the racers that have been on the course and raced. But it's going to be super cool, and the qualifying lap is what we're getting ready to go to.
It's going to be awesome. We were able to get Josh Blyler to do a hot lap. So it was yesterday during practice. It's slow, but here's a hot lap of the qualifying lap riding with Josh Blyler. Let's see what he does.
And our qualifying loop.
So there is a hot lap with Mr. Josh Blyler, a former King of the Hammers winner. I'm going to say that was about 90%. That was a 38-second lap. That was my guess yesterday, so I know it. It's going to be 35 seconds for the fast guys. I just have that feeling. So we always kind of do that guessing. Mm-hmm. We were right in that mix. JT said 40. I said 38. It's going to be low. It's going to be quicker than that. It's about I'm going to say a quarter mile. You saw it. It's just a left through the woods, through the tight trees. That's what Pennsylvania is all about. tight trees. It's going to be great.
Yes, and even though it is a short qualifying loop, there is, you were saying, the tight trees. That's something that you make sure you want to avoid. You're not going to want to slide into one of those corners when you're turning left into a tree, because that can definitely end your day.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of gotchas out here. This is an absolute beautiful facility. They've got roughly 20,000 acres out here at Famous Redding Off-Road. Famous Redding Outdoors. That you can buy a membership. It's open 365 days a year. Come on out. This place is absolutely amazing. Go to our website. Check it all out. But buy a membership. You can come out here anytime you want and check it out. It's absolutely amazing out here in coal country just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, for the 2023 Famous Redding Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. We've got, I think, roughly 100 cars for the first time ever here. That's very impressive.
Yes, the racers, they love having the different tracks and the difficult courses, and you guys did out the teasers throughout the past weeks, and getting people to be like, hey, you guys want harder? Here's harder. And this is definitely a harder course for the racers. Like we were talking about the boulders, they're large boulders, but they're not the hard, dry, packed boulders. They slip and they slide.
The traction is a little bit different than we anticipated. Yeah, like exactly what you're saying, Pam. The traction's different here. It's the dirt kind of gets on the rocks and slicks them up. We were watching them yesterday during practice, and it was very interesting to see them struggle so much in some of these sections.
Exactly, and then having the water out here as well, it's making them super slippery as well. So the sticky tires are definitely going to be key out here. There is a rock section that I was watching as well, and seeing the cars getting high centered, and they're having to winch themselves out during practice. That's what's really, really cool to see is, they're actually getting to see and use their cars before they get on the race course and pick their lines a little better.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see. So they're getting lined up. We will be qualifying here very shortly. We have 3 separate UTV classes. We have stock, pro mod, and open. They will qualify as they come to the line, but they will race pro mod and open together, and they'll race stock separately. So we'll have roughly about 25 in each race of those, and then we'll go into the 4600 Spider Track stock class. Then we'll do the 4500 and 4800 cars. That's the Everyman Challenge cars, and then we'll do the 4400 Unlimited, and that's qualifying this morning. Remember, everything is Eastern time out here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, here at Famous Redding Off-Road. There's a great shot of one of the local fire trucks out there.
Yes, and the qualifying is going to be going fairly quick. We saw Josh Blyler doing the qualifying loop, and yes, he was only driving 90%, but it's going to be a quick loop. It's going to be a little faster, I think, than what we were talking this morning, what was anticipated. So it's going to be awesome to see all these guys out here doing their qualifying. I know I'm excited about today, and they're getting ready to start, pulling up to the start finish right there.
So this qualifier is about a quarter of a mile long. Right now they're going over their transponder. They're going over a little loop to see make sure everything, the transponder's tied to the car, timed to the name, everything's going good. So we will be qualifying here very, very soon. The last time we were in Pennsylvania was back in 2018 at Anthrite Outdoor Adventure Area, just about an hour away out in Shamokin, Pennsylvania. That was back in 2018. We haven't been back to this area since, and I am very excited to be here at Famous Redding Outdoors for the first time ever with Ultra 4 USA. We're about 90 miles away from Philadelphia, New Jersey, about 130 miles from New York and Baltimore. So it's very it's a lot of history in this town. I know you've been touring town a lot. Yingling is here. This is where they found anthracite coal. I mean, there is so much going on out in this area. Come on out. Tourism's great.
It is great, and it's so beautiful, and you can come out here and, like you were saying earlier, you can buy membership. You can come riding out here as well. But the history alone, the railroad, the brewery, the oldest brewery in America, I mean, it was pretty cool to actually go through that tour, but like we said, we'll talk about that later on, to see just the history of this whole entire town. There's beautiful churches. The buildings in town are amazing to see, and it's like no other that I've ever been to, and it's absolutely beautiful. A lot of our racers, they're going to be doing their tours as well, around the town, asking how is it, I haven't got to drive through yet. I'm like, it's absolutely beautiful.
And we have one of our own Famous Redding. We'll bring Sean into the booth with us out here. He's a local. He knows the place, so we'll pick his brain a little bit as well. But while we're getting everything ready to go qualifying, make sure you go to live.ultra4racing.com for the same timing we have here in the Project X booth. Make sure to go to AOE.tv, get on the Ultra 4 USA and Mid America Outdoors Facebook. Hit that share button. We are live racing. That is the number 717 of Derek Edward. No, sorry, that is Mark McCleary out of Reddick, Florida with Turned Up Racing. We'll get a little time here and see how fast he's going to be. I'm going to say it's going to be in that 35 to 40-second range for the fast guys and gals out there on course. We do have a few gals racing with us. I love that. We have the kids will be racing tomorrow morning. So great. Up next is going to be Aaron Lynch.
Green flag. And it's strategy as well, Miles. Like, do you decide to go earlier on in qualifying, or do you wait and you see what the times are roughly running to change up how your style of driving?
And that's what I love about Ultra 4 racing is strategy is going to be so huge, like you're saying, Pam. Qualifying. You want to qualify well because, like we're talking to most racers, I'd want to get that joker line in and out of the way. What's a joker line? That means you have to run that trail once. You can only run that trail once.
And I think our drivers only want to drive that trail once. But Aaron Lynch coming through, getting the checkered flag. We'll get some time updates here in just a moment.
So Mark McCleary and Aaron Lynch have took off during qualifying. So thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. This is the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road, and we are excited to be here for the first time. This place is absolutely amazing. This is our second Ultra 4 USA Eastern Series race, and up next will be Crandon at the Big House over Labor Day weekend.
Crandon is an amazing track as well. That is a short course, a race course, and it's a lot of fun to go and watch if you are in the area or want to go see it. That would be the 125.
I think that was 725 of Chris May, if I'm not mistaken. With
I saw
Will
one
Harris
at first, and then I saw the 7.
Little tricky, but yeah, that definitely is Chris May with Will Harris riding shotgun out of Townsville, South Carolina with May Motorsports. Racing that Can-Am. We are qualifying for today's races and tomorrow. At high noon, we'll be kicking off the UTVs. There'll be the stock class by themselves, and then the Pro Mod and Open class. And then tonight, about 5 o'clock, will be the 4600 Spider Track stock class. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. will be the youth classes. And then at 11:30 a.m. will be the 4500 Yukon Gear and Axle Modified class, and the 4800 Brannick Motorsports class will be racing at the same time but scored separately. And then tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the 4400 main event presented by Good Boy Vodka.
And here we have Chris May pulling up to take the green flag here in just a moment for his qualifying lap. Chris May's daughter also races in the youth classes. She's in the 170, Miss Raleigh May. Super awesome to see her out. She's one of those that are always, pedal down. She's one to reckon with out there, I should say, on the race course.
And we are back hot racing with Mr. Chris May, and he is not running a co-driver right now. And I think that's strategy. It's a lighter car when you're qualifying. It's only a short lap. You need a qualifier for navigation, for winching. You don't need that here for qualifying. So I think that's a smooth move because, weight versus power makes a big difference in these UTVs.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And so that's another part of the whole entire strategy for our racers to not do that. You will sometimes see that racer still run their co-driver, and the reasoning why they do that is because their car is already set up to have that extra person in there. The suspension, yes, you don't want your suspension to be completely different. So it is strategy, like you said, lighter weight. But we can see that we do not have Will Harris in there with Chris May, taking that checkered flag on his qualifying lap.
believe that could be Brandon Emick. That is Brandon Minnick out of Fort Wayne, Indiana with 599 Incorporated, running his Polaris Pro R, part of the open class. So we're talking about the classes. Let's run through some of these classes. The stock production has to have an OEM chassis, must use stock suspension points. Reinforcing is allowed, must run front and side plastics. Rear body can be trimmed to fit a spare tire. 1,000 max engine, and the big thing is a 33-inch maximum tire.
Yes, and then in our Pro Modified UTV class, they do have it's based on the OEM chassis. They do have aftermarket chassis allowed. They must use a stock suspension pickup points. Reinforcing is allowed, and they must run full front plastics. The 1000cc max engine aftermarket turbos are allowed in this class, but their tire size is a max of a 35-inch. So the Pro Modified 35-inch tire, that definitely will be key out here this weekend.
And then the Open UTV is open. 2,000 max. Dream it, build it, race it. And that's a great place for that Pro R to go racing with us here at Ultra 4 USA for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble, presented by Project X Off-Road. We are qualifying for today's and tomorrow's racing. There's Gus Fisher, one of our Ultra 4 USA members. He helps run everything behind the scenes. We've got such a great team that does everything out here.
Yes, and you guys have been out here since, I believe, Sunday, I think.
I've been here since Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
So I've been here a week and a day already. So make sure you go check out the merchandise trailer. We got Angel, Carly, Bailey, and the whole crew in there. We've got some vendors on site. I know we'll have some Primo's Hoagies sandwiches making it over here as well. But everything is going smooth so far. It's going to be a great morning of qualifying, and then we'll be kicking off the main races for the UTVs later.
Well, Miles, we do have an update on the timing. It looks like Mark McCleary, he went through with a 38.250. So right now he's sitting right there on top of the box. Chris May, he came through with a 39.161. Not sure. Aaron Lynch's is saying a 55, but I don't believe that he was out on course for just a minute. So, but we do have Mark McCleary sitting in that number one spot.
On that one.
Yeah, and Chris May sitting in second.
But 38.250 by Mark McCleary is the time to beat right now, but I do think we're going to get in that 35-second mark on this quarter-mile qualifier. What a great overshot to show you how tight these trees are. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of the country, Pam.
Yes, it is. Absolutely gorgeous. This is my first time ever to Pennsylvania, and what a great place to come and go to see this amazing track out here. We do have Brandon Minnick in the 599 that just took the green flag.
So we are going to run one car at a time, where usually we send one, and when they get about halfway through, we send the next. But this course is so tight and small. I just heard JT Taylor over the Rugged Race Radio say, hey, we are just going to do one at a time. You know, this is a short track. Let's keep everybody safe. It's just going to be smoother and easier for everybody. So it'll be one car at a time during qualifying this morning.
All right.
We have a lot of heavy hitters that'll be going out today. We have Paul Wolf, Brian Stone. There's so many great racers. We have Hunter Miller here for the first time.
Yes, he's normally one of our King of the Hammers racers. He's out here doing his very first regional race with us out here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. But we do have Brandon Minnick came through in the number 599 with a 42.399.
And there's Aiden Gilbert, I believe, with his dad, Casey Gilbert, that's racing in the 4,400 class later on today. So great to see the kids working their way through. So Aiden Gilbert out on course.
Aiden Gilbert definitely has some seat time already in his UTV. It's really cool that his dad gets out there and does his qualifying with him.
Aiden Gilbert out of Fenton, Michigan with Gilbert Brothers Racing in that stock class. Polaris, Brannick Motorsports, CA Technologies, MRT, Method, Fox, Big B, and Dynamic Motorsports. Aiden really throwing it down. I can't tell if Casey's in there. I don't believe so. So,
No.
again, they're doing qualifying strategy. They are going to run lighter.
And he just went through with a 41.136.
And we just said Mr. Brian Stone, and he is up next.
Brian Stone in the 5012.
Mr. Stoney with Donnie McQuate riding shotgun out of Edders, Pennsylvania with Brian Stone Racing, part of the Pro Modified class. He's in the Can-Am, all things UTV, Big B Motorsports, Brian Kent, Brooks Power Sports, CA Technologies, CT Raceworks, Factory UTV, Gear Grabber Shifters, HCR, Hess, Keller, Randy Leach, S3 Power Sports, and Zollinger Racing Products. Brian Stone has raced with us for quite a while, but he's kind of laid back. I know his mom's having some health issues, so he's dealing with that. I'm glad to see him out here racing a local race. So, Brian Stone, great to see you back out here racing with us here at Ultra 4 USA.
All right, so right now we still have Mark McCleary sitting in that number 1 spot. Chris May in second. Aiden Gilbert is sitting in that number 3 spot with a 41.136. And that is an amazing drone footage right there of how thick the woods actually are. You can barely see parts of the race course only at the beginning and the end when they are up in the air.
Yeah, so JT and I have been out here for about a week, building course and laying it out, and we've done a lot of trimming. You can't trim everything out here. This is a very tight and technical wood sections. The rocks are big. The trees are tight, and then there's some old haul roads where they're going to be up and over 100 miles an hour.
Yes, and that's what they're talking about, the go fast stuff. And let me just say this really quick. Brian Stone just went through with a 5012 in that number 1 spot with a 37310. And that will be Jonathan Strickland in the 4926 that just took the green flag.
JT Strickland out of High School, Tennessee. 865 Racing, part of the 4900 stock class, and his Polaris RS1, G4 suspension, Aaron Lynch, MFN Performance, Quattlebaum, and Lynchworks. His first Ultra 4 USA race was this year in Rush, Kentucky. So, again, strategy. I think qualifying is going to be super, super important because, like we were saying earlier, Pam, the Joker line, you have to run it once. You can only run it once. If it's open, take it. Get that clean air. There's going to be dust on race day. There's going to be mud holes on race day. There's going to be some lap traffic in the rocks. So, qualifying is going to be very, very important.
Yes, and there we do have the 9004 of Byron Starrett.
With Ricky Lehman riding shotgun out of Jacksonville, Florida with Team 904 Racing, part of the 4900 stock class, and his Can-Am X3 with CA Technology, Evolution Power Sports, Demons Power Sports, Raceline Wheels, Double E Racing, ZRP, and Rugged Race Radios. All the way from Florida coming out here to play with us.
And Byron's been up on the podium here the last few races with us, so he's one out here that's looking for that number 1 spot. He's a very fast driver, but a part of Team 904, as you were saying. Another one of those recognizable cars, with the 9004 and the 904.
I was going to say recognizable. Him and Mike Park look so similar. It's hard to tell them apart, but I do believe they're going to be racing in different races today because it will be the stock class by themselves, and then it'll be the open and pro mods racing within each other, scored separately. But it's going to be very interesting to see. But this should be a very good time by Byron Starrett. Again, go to live.ultra4racing.com for the same live timing we have here in the Project X booth.
All right, we'll get a timing update here in just a moment and give you his time. But Brian Stone is the man right now to beat at the 37310, sitting in that number 1 spot with Mark McCleary closely behind with a 38250, and Chris May sitting in that 3rd spot with a 39161.
A great aerial shot of the Project X start-finish line. This is qualifying, but this will also be the same start-finish for the main race. Talking about the main race, it's a 10.7-mile loop. All classes will race an hour and a half, then the white flag comes out. except for 44. That'll be a 2-hour race plus a lap when the white flag comes out. There's the first rock set. Yes, I'm going to say it's about 4 miles of pretty wide open, tight trees, then wide open haul roads. The first rock section is called Kool-Aid, and it goes up this little section, rocks, and then a big ledge at the top, tight woods, back on out. And then you race for another about 2 or 3 miles. And then it's you get to that Joker line. All meat, no taters, they call it here at famous Reading Outdoors. And again, you have to run that once. You can only run that once. That's right around mile marker number 7. And then you go another about, I'm going to say, 1.5 miles or so. Then you get to Torburen. It's a beautiful rock section. That's the first rock section. It's gnarly. There's been lots of issues there. It's going to be tight, technical, real rocks. And then you go from there right into Hell's Half Acre. You know why it's got that name? Because it's tough. It's going to be a great. We've got drones all over this race course. We've got multiple cameras, so be sure to tune in all day long today and tomorrow. AOE.TV. Go to the Ultra 4 USA Facebook, the Mid-America Outdoors Facebook. Hit that share button, start a watch party, and this is going to be some amazing, amazing action. And don't forget, Speed Sport TV. They're going to be doing a 1-hour special on this as well.
Yes, and you got to go out. Obviously, you've been here, like you said, since last Thursday. See the whole entire race course. I saw bits and pieces of it, but let's talk about this. A lot of drivers, like you were saying, were already having issues out on practice. Yesterday, in the rock sections, there were drivers. There were bottlenecks already just when they're out pre-running the race course. But that's something that people have been out there. They've been out there working on their cars. But on camera there, we do have the 904 of Mike Park waiting to take the green flag.
With Austin Warren riding shotgun, we just saw his teammate Byron Starrett take off out of Callahan, Florida, with Team 904 Racing in the Pro Modified class with his CA Technology built Can-Am, Double E Racing shocks, Evo Power Sports, Demon axles, Raceline wheels, Maxxis tires, Rugged, and ZRP. And Mike Park is off the line trying to chase down Brian Stone's time of that 37.310. And I do think we're going to get in that 35-second mark, Pam. I really do.
You are probably very correct because we have some heavy hitters still going. We have heavy hitters out there that have already qualified this morning, but it's all about that spot. Like we keep saying over and over, it's about getting that top qualifying spot to get the best spot out on the start to start the race later on today.
Corey Willis is in the mix. So I'm going to go over here's a great shot of the finish line for Mr. Mike Park. Let's go over the Pro Modified East Champion points in the 2023 season right now. Kyle Cheney's in that first spot. Then it goes Corey Willis, Tony Polari, Zach Pollard, and Jamie McCoy. For the Pro Modified, for the Open East,
we do have Jeff Donda. Then we have Peyton Isabel, Ian Dickey, Philip Poe, and Cody Quattlebaum sitting in that 5th spot. That is the 335, it looks like. Could not quite make that number out.
Could have been the 395.
That was the 335 of Colin Smith.
Colin Smith out of Ashland, Kentucky with BRS Motorsports in his Can-Am X3, CT Raceworks suspension, MTS, S&S Contracting, McGuire and Edmonds Excavating. And his first Ultra 4 race was this year in Rush, Kentucky as well. Great shot of the tight trees here at famous Reading Outdoors just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
And I know we're going to say it over and over and over, but it's absolutely beautiful up here. The trees are thick. It is very thick up here, but that is a great time right there. Let's see what his time just was coming through.
So, Pam, it looks like Mike Park just moved in that first position with a 35.576. That is super, super impressive.
Yeah, Mike Park was definitely pushing it, as you could see. But we do have the 106 of Steven Rogers out on qualifying course.
Steven Rogers has no co-driver out of Chattanooga, Tennessee with Rogers Motorsports in his Polaris Pro XP, MRT tires, Extreme Razor Performance, and R&S Tile. He used to be a rock bouncer, but started to pay attention to Ultra 4 USA and is throwing his hat in the ring and having some fun with it. So great shot of Steven Rogers. That bright orange UTV.
That is a great shot of them coming out of the woods on that left-hand turn, taking the checkered flag on the qualifying loop.
It's going to be burned in. That is for darn sure. There is
Yes.
Mr. 900.
That is the young gentleman of Nathan Parker.
Nathan the Phenom Parker, only 14 years old, with Ed Reevy riding shotgun out of Dunn, North Carolina with Team Momentum Racing. He's in the CT Raceworks Can-Am, Performance East, Wheel Pros, Dynojet, Deep Creek ATV Park, CT Raceworks, Pocket Change Fab, Mr. RPM, Fuel Wheels, KMC, Air Dam Clutch, Super ATV, and STM. And I believe in stock in the East, he's got to be doing really well in points.
He is
Nathan
doing
Parker.
amazing. He's an amazing young driver, great driver out here, has a lot of seat time on quads, also out here in the side-by-sides as well. But Nathan Parker, it looks like he just came through with a 36.126. So what a great time by him. He was running amazing also at Visions as well. He won Montana in his class, so it's just he's doing a great job out here.
And he just moved into first position in the stock class. There's Cody Martin, the number 296. Out of Gatlin, Tennessee, with Rick Spencer riding shotgun with Team Martin Racing in the Pro Modified class in his Can-Am. Nitro Racing Parts, MRT, all things UTV, EBC Racing, G-Force, HCR, Trinity Racing, and RCV. His first Ultra 4 race was back in 2021 in Rush, Kentucky. What a great morning of qualifying, and we are just getting started with the UTVs as we see Cody Martin laying it all out there. That's going to be a really good run with a 36.543.
Yes, that puts him in that number 2 spot, but first in the UTV Pro Mod class. But Mike Park actually just updated here. He is in that number 1 spot here, still on top of Nathan Parker. And that is the number 40 of Jeremy Blackburn that just took the green flag.
In his single-seat RS1 Polaris out of Pikeville, Kentucky with Bandit Off-Road. With Alba Racing, Trinity, Elka Shocks. He got first place in Rush and AOP and Legends in 2022. And this young man has a great, he goes out pre-runs. He goes out and races. He goes out there and play races. He's got a lot of seat time in that little RS1. The visibility, let's talk about that. What is an RS1? That is a single-seat UTV. So the visibility is amazing out of these cars. And you can see you sit right in the middle. It's a great setup.
It's a different style of driving, obviously, being the single seat. You have that total center of gravity in the RS1. It is a great vehicle. There not very many of them actually race them out here. There are very few RS1s that race in Ultra 4. But it is a great race car that they're all having fun with. But the Can-Ams also is another great one that we do see. That is the 417 of Justin Barth taking the green flag.
Justin Barth out with Anthony Yount riding shotgun out of Springfield, Missouri with Barth Racing in his Polaris with MRT, Walker Evans, Hess Motorsports, ZRP, and RCV. And I'm going to finish my thought on the single-seat UTV. So let's talk about strategy, single seat. Who's going to winch for you? You have to winch yourself. So back to strategy. Being a single-seater, it's lighter, better visibility. But now if you do get hung up in one of these really tough rock sections, which I think is going to happen, you have to winch yourself, so you have to get out. Having the co-driver is a huge advantage at this race.
100%. That is a great way of putting it, Miles. And there, Justin Barth coming through, taking the checkered flag.
And again, he is not running a co-driver during qualifying, but for the main race, he will have Anthony Yount riding with him.
And he just went through with a 43.109 that puts him down in that number 13 spot. But Justin Barth does double duty this weekend. He doesn't only race in the UTV class, but
that is Cody Quattlebaum, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, that is the number 33 of Cody Quattlebaum taking the green flag.
Q-Bomb out of Loganville, Georgia with Bandit Off-Road Racing in his Turbo RS1 built by Castle Lake Metal, Warren, Brannick, MRT, Rugged, OGIO, Trinity Racing, Aftermarket Assassins, Dalton Industry, Elka, Double E Racing, and Kryptonite. His first Ultra 4 race was Rush, Kentucky back in 2021. Big supporter with Bandit Off-Road Racing. They've got quite a few racers they help get to that start lane.
And I believe the young lady at Peyton Dumford is one that is a
Yep.
part of Bandit Off-Road. It's pretty cool.
She's moved into that team this season.
And Cody Quattlebaum just went through. He sits in that number 10 spot right now with a 42.179, but it looks like it put him in the number 1 spot of qualifying for the UTV Open class. And we do have the 614 taking the green flag.
That is Mitchell Roccacelli out of Beaver Dam, Virginia with ISG Racing in a Can-Am. East Coast Earthworks, ISG Rents, Maxed Out Performance, MRT Tires, Tire Spine, CA Technology, and G-Force Suspension. I was we're out on course just kind of checking everything out yesterday and had a great chat with that young man, and he's got his buddies there having fun. He runs around with Tyler Gibbs, Colin Smith, and they're out just strategizing on the Joker line, and he helped me fix his last name because it's spelled a little goofy, but he got me lined out, so I built my little cheat sheet, and Roccacelli out there running strong. And he was saying how hard this course was, that he has never had to fully lock his front diff in, ever. He had to do it during pre-run yesterday. So he was like, this is pretty awesome, but he was a little like, wow, this is harder than I anticipated, which, hey, that's what Ultra 4 is all about. And here is a local man of Austin Lar heading out. He is part of the Line Mountain Racing crew, the number 429. Out of Shamokin, Pennsylvania, with Fastened Up Racing in his Can-Am. I believe he'll be racing the Dark Water race on Sunday as well, so let's talk about that. There is a Dark Water race on Sunday that's part of the Line Mountain style of racing, and they'll be racing a very similar course on Sunday with Lee O'Donnell and his crew. We're going to stick around. We won't have the live show up for it, but we will be out on course helping. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. So if any of our Ultra 4 USA drivers want to go throw their hat in the ring and race with the Line Mountain crew, they absolutely can do it. So local man Austin Lar just throws down a time.
Yes, he did. He threw down a 36.604, putting him in 4th overall right now, but 1st in that UTV Open class. So what a great run by Austin. Seeing him out there during pre-running yesterday, he was going through those rock sections. I just noticed he does not have a very large tire on him, but he's definitely out there doing amazing. And we do have the 428 that just took that green flag.
That is Mr. Tony Polari with Travis Pope riding shotgun out of Greenup, Kentucky with Bad Batch Racing, part of the Pro Modified class. And his CA Technology Can-Am, OBOR Tires, RCV, Bullet Wheels, BP Pipeline, Landview Management, Strickland Logging, KWI, and Dentworks Collision.
And let's talk about Tony Polari. Tony Polari has a boat side built CA Can-Am.
So explain the boat side, because that's good for the rocks, correct?
Yes, correct, exactly. And speaking with Todd Beckett, who does not have a boat side, came in yesterday after one lap of pre-running saying, I have to do some adjustments on my car. He goes, these guys that have the boat sides are the ones that are going to do very well in the rocks, because his whole entire, all of his rock guards were all torn up and everything. But the boat side, so let's talk about that. Like you just said, he's at the bottom of the car. It's not as wide as it would be coming stock.
It's kind of like a boat, a V-bottom.
Exactly.
So the side of your car kind of angles up. It's pretty slick. It looks like he just got 9th overall and 4th in class for Tony Polari.
But that was a great, it was a great way of talking to Todd Beckett about that yesterday, because he had a great perspective on the advantages of having a boat side built UTV out here racing compared to just how they come, stock. So we do have the 191. That is Hunter Miller out here racing. He's actually racing in Kyle Cheney's car, but he is racing his very first Ultra 4 USA race out here for a regional.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. So Hunter Miller, first time racing with Ultra 4 outside of King of the Hammers. Racing Kyle Cheney's car, actually, out of Greenville, Texas, with Miller Brothers Racing and Team Momentum. Can-Am, Yokohama, Team Momentum, Evo Powersports, CT Raceworks, Raceline Wheels, Action Off-Road, and a Fox. So it's great to see what Hunter Miller is going to be able to do in Kyle Cheney's car. Kyle Cheney wasn't able to make this, but he wanted his car here racing. He wanted that Can-Am out there on course, so he called his Can-Am teammate, Hunter Miller. He comes out here racing for his first time with Ultra 4 USA. Really great to see. And we'll see what he can do in the tight trees in the woods. Hunter Miller's a wheel man, that's for sure. But this season, Kyle Cheney has been on fire.
Yes, he has. And he is going to be the 20th car taking the green flag this morning. We do have a total of 41 UTVs that will be taking the green flag for qualifying this morning. But the 20th one so far is going by very quick already. But I'm super excited to see Hunter Miller out here doing this, being out here at Ultra 4, speaking with him yesterday about it. He's already having fun, always has a smile on his face. Good times for sure with him. But he not only races out here, or well, he's never raced out here with us, but he races short course. He races at Mid-America Outdoors against his brother Kyle Cheney out there as well. They do race in the pro turbo class out there. He also races out the Outlaw Series that takes place in Texas. So he does get a lot of seat time, but normally it's the short course seat time. This right here getting him, prepared for this race. He was explaining it as well, like we all keep saying, these rocks out here, the boulders are big, but they move. They're slippery. It's a little bit different than what he's used to going out to Johnson Valley, California, and racing at King of the Hammers. But you can see a great footage right there of our cars all lined up, waiting for their time to qualify.
That is coming off the Amsoil Hot Pits, so that'll be in play tomorrow or this afternoon and all day tomorrow. It is a single entrance, single exit. Once you enter into the hot pits, you have to go all the way through. It's a 25 miles an hour zone, no passing. As Hunter Miller is taking off on this quarter-mile qualifier, getting ready to take a hard left into the tight trees here at famous Redding Outdoors, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Remember, everything is Eastern Time Zone. Go to AOE.tv, go to Speedsport, go to Ultra 4 and Mid-America Outdoors Facebook. Hit that share button, start a watch party. This is Ultra 4 racing at its finest.
Yes, there are so many different outlooks that you can watch it on, but look at Hunter Miller
all
selling
over
through
the throttle.
that number one spot at a 35.077.
There's that 35-second mark, and we were talking about that, about is a 4400 car going to be faster than a UTV in this course? On the qualifier, maybe. During the main race, no. I think the rocks are going to be very, very tough.
There we do have the number 118 of Matthew Walraven.
With Rhett Bryan riding shotgun out of Oak Ridge, North Carolina, with JW Performance in the Pro Modified class. He's in his Can-Am, CT Raceworks, Builder's First Source, Raceline, PRP Seats, Simpson, Transit Solutions, Stillo Helmets, PPEI, and Murray Power Sports. His first Ultra 4 USA race was Ruskin, Kentucky back in 2021, and he won at Visions last year and won Sturgis in 22 as well. See if we can get a little redemption.
And he is not running as co-driver like we were talking about earlier. He's not in there right at this moment.
And we'll see his son Xander Walraven running tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
All right, Matthew just came through 7th overall, 5th in his class for the 4900 UTV Pro Modified class. He came through with a 37.807.
Looks like Hamby, if I'm guessing.
Yes, you're correct. That is the 817 of Brian Hamby.
With Travis Skelton riding shotgun out of Winchester, Tennessee with 817 Racing. He's in a Polaris with System 3 Off-Road, Adventure Off-Road, G-Force Racing, RCV, Warren, TCP, Rugged, Sparco, HCR, RPM Revelation, Extreme Razor Performance, Lead Nav, and Sandcraft. His first Ultra 4 USA race was Moab back in 2022. If you are joining in with us, we thoroughly appreciate each and every one of you. This is qualifying for the 2023 famous Redding Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road. We'll get a time for Hamby here shortly.
Yes, we do have a time for him. I almost interrupted you. I'm so sorry. At a 40.037, 12th overall, 5th in class is where Brian Hamby just qualified. We can tell that noise behind us that just took off. That is a Can-Am. That is the 1793 of Corey Willis.
With PPEI out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, with a Can-Am in the Pro Modified class. PPEI, JW Performance, HP Tuners, Jason Deach Trailer Sales, E Racing, Raceline Wheels. I bumped into him at the hotel a couple nights ago, and he's getting out of a Penske moving truck. I'm like, what are you doing, buddy? He's like, I got to the airport, went to go get my rental car. They're out. So I called around, and I'm driving a Penske moving truck to get back and forth. So we had a little laugh with it. But Corey Willis is a man on the mission. He's sitting in second position in the Pro Mod class in the Eastern Series points. So Corey Willis with PPEI Tuning is a man on a mission.
Yes, and he just came through sitting in third spot with a 36.084. He also is coming off a second place finish at Visions. He is another one that races also in our short course series at Mid-America Outdoors as well.
So there's the 4908 of Jeff Donda with Philip McGilton riding shotgun out of Wheeling, West Virginia with Metalworks Motorsports. In a Polaris Pro R, Metalworks Motorsports, Metal FX wheels, and Warn. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers back in 2017. So Jeff Donda's been running with us for quite a while, and he's going to put that Pro R to work on this quarter-mile qualifier through the tight trees here at famous Reading Outdoors.
And I did not see the qualifying loop. When they're doing, it's basically, like you're saying, all left-hand turns.
Yep, it's a circle through
there,
the woods.
Are there any areas out there that they have to kind of check up on the qualifying course?
I mean, the corners for sure, yeah. There's definitely some tight sections, but there's no obstacles.
Okay.
It's just a tight little trail that, if you step out, you can clip a tree for sure.
Okay, and Jeff just came through with a 44.682. We'll see who's coming up here in just 1 second.
And the time to beat right now is still Hunter Miller with that 35.077. That looks like Zach Pollard, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. That is Zach Pollard in the number 645.
Out of Fort Bragg, Georgia, with East Coast Cowboys Racing in the Pro Modified class. He's in a Can-Am, Bullet, SD Lighting, Whelen Speed and RD, Zollinger Racing Products, G-Force, Whelen, and Valor Tires. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers last year. Zach Pollard running a no co-driver during this race, as he normally does.
And we know that he has had a couple issues throughout the year. Kentucky was not his friend, that is for sure. But here he is. He has a brand new chassis that he had in place last race at Visions. But Zach Pollard just came through in the 8th position, but 8th overall, 6th in his class for the UTV Pro Modified at a 37.405. And there we do have Tyler Gibbs taking the green flag in the 926.
With PJ Holiday riding shotgun out of Cattlesburg, Kentucky, with Gibbs Racing in the Pro Modified class, and his Can-Am, MRT, Method, Fox, and G-Force. We're about 3/4 of the way through the UTV field, if I'm thinking correctly.
Yes, we should have roughly 15 cars that should be taking the green flag after Tyler Gibbs comes through and takes that checkered flag.
And then after them will be the 4600 Spider Track stock class, followed by the 4500 Yukon Gear Naxa modified class, then the 4800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class. And speaking about Brannick, we got the whole crew here. Stan the Man Haynes, Brandon Haynes, the whole team Indiana is here on site, part of Brannick Motorsports. And then it'll be the 4400 Unlimited class, so be sure to tune in all afternoon.
We have Jay Shaw, the number 17, taking that green flag.
With Bryce Lane riding shotgun out of Springville, Alabama, with Adventure Lifestyle in the Pro Modified class, and his Can-Am built by CT Raceworks. This is actually Kyle Chaney's King of the Hammers winning car. He wants to just give a huge shout-out to Adventure Lifestyle because it's the only way he is back here racing with us at Ultra 4. He started racing at Dirty Turtle back in 18, had to step away a little bit, and then Adventure Lifestyle stepped up, and he is back behind the wheel. And Jay Shaw, I'm going to call him a wild man. This dude is fast, but he's always riding that ragged edge.
Yes, and definitely. He just came through sitting 6th in position, though 5th in class at a 36.583. But you saying that just now, calling him a wild man, talking to him yesterday, he was talking about the race course and how fun it is out there. He's like, this course is awesome. He goes, I just got to tone it down, though.
So he knows himself,
he knows.
huh?
Exactly, and there is Jody Ford in that number 140 taking the green flag.
With Corey Day riding shotgun out of Markle, Indiana, with Brannick Motorsports in the stock class and his Polaris Pro XP, Brannick Motorsports Raceline Wheels, MRT, Attica Power Sports. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers back in 2018. And we'll see his daughter Bailey running tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. during the Ultra 4 USA Youth Race. I can still hear the echoes coming through the woods. So Jody Ford should be popping out. There he comes into screen as we speak, about to grab the start-finish there at the Project X start-finish. All over the throttle, getting a little slideways there. The Brannick Motorsports symbol on the side, looking good. He'll be racing in the 4400 class in a brand new to him Miller chassis. Super excited for Jody Ford to see what he can do as he steps up into the 4400 class. And here's the man of the year. Him and Kyle Chaney have battled out all year long, but Paul Wolf will be racing in the UTV class and 4400. Paul Wolf is a Mid-America Outdoors ambassador, and his birthday's here in a couple days. So happy birthday weekend to Mr. Paul Wolf. So number 1018 out of Alton, Illinois, with Wolf Racing in the Pro Modified class. He's in his Can-Am Raceline wheels, Nitto tires, MAO, HCR, C8 Technology, ZRP, RCV, Halo Lockers, Hickman Motorsports, Optima, Project X, Evo Power Sports, and Alt Tech Motorsports. This guy has won a lot of races. He's won in Rush, Kentucky, in Visions, in Sturgis. Last year he was the Nationals West and East champion. He swept it.
Yes, Paul Wolf definitely has a lot of seat time for sure. He practices at home as well.
Oh,
huge
huge bicycle. But was able to save it, and there's that tree. And we put that start-finish line right there. That way, hey, don't hit my flag. You're going to hit a tree.
Right? Okay, so even with him bicycling, he just came through sitting 5th overall, 4th in his class. But, wow, what a great time of Paul Wolf at the 36.399, even with the bicycle. We did not Jay Shaw, he came through. I didn't announce his time earlier with a 36.583. He's sitting in 6th, but 7th overall. But wow, what a great qualifying morning we have had so far. We're getting ready to go into our 4,600 stock class, but you do have, we have another UTV sneaking in here. So Mick Henson looks like he will be the first off the line, though, once we get into the 4,600 class. But right now let's talk about it. Hunter Miller sitting in that number 1 spot. Definitely key to be in that number 1 spot, as we've been speaking all morning long, with a 35.077. Mike Park closely behind at a 35.918. Corey Willis in 3rd. Nathan Parker, the young Nathan Parker, in that 4th position.
So that is Peyton Dumford, and the first UTV is actually going to be Tom Biddle in the 4600 Toyota. Well, Toyota's a Toyota, right?
Well, and
but
from
one's
the
tan,
drone,
one black, so you missed that one. But
well,
all
from
good.
the drone, it looked tan to me, but yes, we do. Here's the young lady of Peyton Dumford, though. Amazing. I believe her dad is doing co-driving with her, but she is a part of that Bandit off-road. And Peyton Dumford's number is a 7007.
So she's got her dad, Jarrell Dumford, riding shotgun out of Cincinnati, Ohio, with Bandit Off-Road and Dumford Racing in the open class, and her Polaris Turbo S, Bandit Off-Road, Ultimax belts, MRT tires, Off-Road Vixens, AJK Off-Road, Extreme Muddin, Gear Grabber Shifters, JB Skill Graphics, and Off-Road Lifestyle. Her first Ultra 4 race was last year in Rush, Kentucky. And I know her pace is going to be slow but steady. She just wants to get out there on course and race with who she's out there with. I mean, it's great to see this young lady out there racing with her dad. I love the Ultra 4 family style like that, and they're out there having fun, and they're going to pick their way through the rocks later on this afternoon.
Yes, and Peyton Dumford just came through with a 47.034. But, Miles, let's talk about this. Everybody that has gone through qualifying, we have not seen Jamie McCoy. We have not seen Todd Beckett, who's coming off of a win from Visions. John Seaman, Mitch Wolford. We have a few names out there that have not came through. But, and speaking of, and there is the 111 of John Seaman taking the green flag.
So we must, I don't know if we'll see those UTVs or not, or is it strategy? I don't know. So that is the 111 of John Seaman with his dad, John Candia, riding shotgun out of Marion, North Carolina, with GFG Racing and his Can-Am Raceline wheels, MRT, CT Raceworks, G-Force, and JC Properties. His first Ultra 4 USA race was last year at Visions. And we're fresh off Visions. That's the last race we had, and what a spectacle that was. It was an amazing week in off-road.
Yes, it was. It was an awesome whole entire week. And speaking of how amazing that one was, I mean, we're going to be going into Legends of Havasu here in just a few months. That's going to be another amazing. Our finals will be there. But John Seaman coming through in the number 14 position overall, 10th in his class at a 37.762.
Looks like we are going to switch over to the 4600 Spider Track stock class. So is it strategy? Are they having parts issues? Did they want to save the car for, I don't know what's going on, but we did miss quite a few UTVs. But, hey, you do not have to qualify. Today and tomorrow's race is on adjusted time, so if you don't qualify, it's a rear start, but you're still racing your own time. But to me, I would go shoot for that fresh air. I would shoot for the open rock sections on those first couple laps, so we'll see. But it is the 46 53 of Tom Biddle with Joe Fabrizio riding shotgun out of Longmont, Colorado with Trail Rig Racing. And a 1985 Toyota pickup with a 22RE, dual Toyota transfer cases, AMSOIL, Raceline wheels, ADS, Filthy Motorsports, Yukon Skies Off-Road, Irate 4x4, and Rugged. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2020. That was right before the world got all weird, but we fought through, and we're here, and we are racing for the 2023 famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X Off-Road.
And we will have 8 cars taking the green flag out here in our stock class, so we will see if all of them are going to actually come out and qualify. But let's go back to the 4900 class really quick. I'm really surprised that Jamie McCoy did not qualify.
I'm surprised a lot of them didn't qualify. Again, it's strategy.
Yeah.
You do you. Did they miss qualifying? Are they having parts? Or did they just want to save the car? I don't know. So what is the 4600 Spider Track stock class? These are mall crawlers. I mean, some of these, they started out as daily drivers. So you must have a stock OEM frame. Wheelbase must stay within 3 inches. Factory engine may be replaced with any available engine in the same make, model, year. Factory transmission, 35-inch DOT tires, single 2.5 shock per corner. Factory style suspension, mechanical steering, and this is grassroots racing at its finest.
Yes, and we did just have the 4642 of Adam Collin take that green flag.
With Brad Goodfellow riding shotgun out of Troy, New York with Rock Crawler Racing and his 2004 Jeep LJ with Nitto tires, Dirty Life race wheels, Warn Factor 55, Rock Crawler suspension, Yukon, Savvy, Predator trail gear, and Barton Racing. And it looks like we will have 2 cars on course at a time during this class because they are a little slower pace, obviously.
Well, Tom Biddle, he came through with a 58.547.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay,
yes, so
perfect.
He came through, and Adam Collin is on course right now. It looks like next up we'll be having Sergio will be taking the green flag in that 46.88 here in just a moment. But Adam Collin coming through with about 4 seconds faster than Tom Biddle at a 54.470, so taking that number 1 spot.
But that's a 6-cylinder versus 4-cylinder. You know, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And there we do see Sergio Panilos taking that green flag with a 46.88.
I believe he's got his brother Bruno riding shotgun out of Mount Dora, Florida with RPM Extreme and Warren Racing. And this is John Schaefer's old Jeep that just can't retire it. It's still out here racing. Built by Savvy back in 2015. That Jeep JK, RPM Extreme, stock drivetrain, Rock Jock Curry axles, Rock Crawler, Warn, Factor 55, BFG, and Raceline. John Schaefer has driven this car a lot, and it's taken a beating, but it's a proven race car. So great to see Sergio out here racing, and he is fresh off his win at Visions just last
a
month.
bicycle just now at the end.
We saw Wolf in the UTV with a huge bicycle, so that shows you how hard Serge is pushing out there with Warren Racing.
Wow, Sergio just came through with a 46.638, so that's quite a lead over Adam Collin right now in this 4600 Spider Track stock class. Here we do have now Mr. My brain is fried right now. That's Tom Biddle right there coming
that's
by.
The 40. That's John Lachey.
John Lachey. Whoops.
With Bryce Litschauer out of Milford, Michigan with LMS Off-Road Racing and a 1985 Toyota 22RE, Diamond rear axle, Lachey Machining, Bill Stein, Yukon, and Contour Graphics. And he was a KOH rookie this year for the first race in the Ultra 4 USA season there at King of the Hammers. And I missed it earlier, but it is Brian Hamby's 48th birthday tomorrow, so he'll be having a good birthday weekend. Thanks, Taylor, for tuning in and giving me that little bit of info. Let's talk about weather just a little bit. It is beautiful today. It's going to get up to about 90 degrees. It's sticky out there, but it's going to be a beautiful day of racing. And then tomorrow, it's a 50% chance of rain. If it rains, those rock sections are going to be slick. It's going to be tough. The mud holes are going to grow. We've battled a little bit of everything. It's been hot this week. It's been rained this week. Race conditions are really nice right now, but if it rains tomorrow, it's going to be very interesting.
Yes.
But it's going to be dusty today. It's going to be hot. It's going to be fun. And there is Doug Langford with Rob Craven riding shotgun in the 4699 out of Greensboro, North Carolina, with Outlaw Off-Road in that 2021 Jeep JL with a 392 Hemi. So the biggest horsepower in this class. Curry axles, Fox, Nitto Raceline, PRP tire lights, Warn, Factor 55, Miller Motorsports, HP Tuners, and Next Venture Motorsports.
So in that number 1 spot, still sitting Sergio in that number 1 spot in the 4688 with a 46638. Then we have John Lachey in that second position at a 53610. Adam Collin in fourth at a 54470.
Oh, another big bicycle. So that just goes to show you there must be a rut that's starting to develop right there. We saw Wolf, then Sergio, now Langford all doing a bicycle. So the qualifying coming out of that corner is really starting to deteriorate. So I suspect to see more and more bicycles there. But, you know, everybody's watching and taking middle notes, so I think they're going to start taking that corner a little more inside.
Exactly. But Doug Langford just now took over that number 1 spot from Sergio with a 45.387. But we do have the 40-40 taking the green flag of Cindy Bullock.
This is her first Ultra 4 USA race of her career, so she's making her debut. So Cindy Bullock with her husband Adam Bullock riding shotgun out of Oshawa, Ontario with Team 4Banger and a 1982 Toyota Trekker with a 22RE Prius power steering, Toyota axles, and Kenda tires. So we'll see what Cindy can do. She's out there having some fun. One of our female competitors. Riding, you know, that is relationship building 101 at its finest. That you always hear the old story of trying to canoe with your significant other. Try racing with that. One of my favorites is Amy and Jimmy Jack. They've raced together for a long time, husband-wife duo, and they do a great job. But in the heat of the moment, you got to probably just take it for granted. You're going to say some stuff you're going to regret. Yeah. What happens in the racetrack stays in the racetrack.
Exactly. I have to say, I actually have my husband and I used to race together, co-drive for each other. So it definitely does test a relationship for sure. It's pretty fun. But here we do have Cindy coming through, taking that checkered flag for her qualifying run with a 1:10.909. But look at her out here, first time ever racing. Super cool to see the more ladies getting into the sport. I love it. I love seeing ladies getting into the sport and coming out here and doing this. And now we do have the 624 of Roger King taking the green flag.
With Jared Johnson riding shotgun out of Sparta, Tennessee. Roger King will be doing double duty. He'll be racing the 4400 class as well. Out of Sparta, Tennessee with Team Robbie Bobby. And a Jeep TJ with a 4-liter, 42 RLE. Atlas, Rock Crusher 60 axles, Mickey Thompson tires, Raceline wheels, King, Brannick, and Rugged. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2012 when the Everyman Challenge was invented. So he's been racing with Ultra 4 and King of the Hammers for a very long time. Love the Team Robbie Bobby, Roger King out there giving all he's got. And again, doing that double duty, that's great pre-running, great racing. And you're here, you're doing the, oh, look, he takes a little bump there and gets a little offline, straightens her out. But Roger King still on the throttle, making things happen. And again, strategy. He gets to see the course at race pace in the stock class and then hop in his 4400 tomorrow afternoon. So he races tonight at 5 and tomorrow at 2. Roger King's going to have some fun.
It's definitely a great pre-run at race pace, even though this is a slower vehicle. But seeing it still at race pace is a completely different ballgame from when you're out there on the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit that we are only allowed to do when we're out there pre-running.
And if you're just tuning in, we thoroughly appreciate each and every one of you. This is the famous Reading Outdoors Reading Rumble, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And there's another UTV. He must have had a mechanical issue. And so that's the deal. If you tell JT, our race director, if you're having an issue, he'll say, okay, after the next class, I'll feed you in. But if you just, if it's your fault, you miss it, sorry. If you communicate it, JT will let you get in there.
Yes, and that is Todd Beckett in the 101. Did a great interview with getting an on-track interview from him yesterday. It was pretty awesome to get the feedback of them coming fresh off the race course.
So where's Mick Henson? We were out checking the course earlier. I'm going to get through Todd Beckett real quick. Number 101, Mr. Wreck-It Beckett, fresh off his win at Visions. He's got Pete with G-Force riding shotgun out of Pineville, Kentucky, with Top Gun Fab in his Pro Modified class, and a Can-Am NOS System 3 CA Technologies and Coca-Cola. His first Ultra 4 USA race was back in 2019. He got second at AOP, and like I said, first at Visions just last month.
Yes, and he does have, like you were saying, Pete in there with him. Pete is a part of the G-Force Racing with the NOST internals on the shocks, as what he's creating with them and working very, closely with Gary and everybody at the shop. And it's the shocks, I saw them they had his shocks off his car yesterday.
That's crazy.
When he came off of doing his pre-run, he decided, you know what, we got to do some changes. But
I was talking about Mick Henson just a moment ago. He's definitely a crowd favorite in that Toyota. He was out pre-running yesterday and thought he was in first. He had it in reverse. He was in this little sketchy rock section, and he dumped the clutch in reverse, flipped it over, broke some stuff, broke a front drive shaft and a leaf spring. So he was working on it late last night in the dark. It was definitely the front drive shaft was definitely in two. I knew he was going to try to fix some stuff. A lot of stuff going on. Hopefully Mick Henson can take his race. But again, there's only 8 of them, so qualifying, does it matter? Yes. But can a rear start win? Absolutely.
Yes,
Did
it
you
can.
see who took off the
I
line?
did. That was Jamie McCoy.
That was Jamie
took
McCoy,
off the
okay.
line. So we have a few TVs that have came out here later on. But we do need to say that Jamie McCoy just came through in 9th position overall, 8th in his class with a 36.600. But Todd Beckett, he is sitting in that 5th position. He qualified just before Jamie McCoy at a 36.303.
So Jamie McCoy and John Boy out of Kingsport, Tennessee with G-Force Racing in the Pro Mod class just finished. So up next,
that will be the 824 of John Schuster
with his wife Patty riding shotgun out of Baysville, Ohio, with Schuster Motorsports in the Pro Modifying class with that Can-Am, Simpson, HCR, BGR tires. He's new to UTVs. He's raced motocross and stock cars for a long time, and it's a unique looking UTV. You see the huge fenders. That's going to be an advantage if in some of these mud spots.
Yes, it will, because they do go through water. After they take the Joker line, there is a straightaway that they will be going through some water crossings. So
there's multiple water crossings. There's nothing deep. It can if you go the left side. Don't go left in the deep water hole. We did it. But yeah, there's definitely some water crossings. The Joker line we've talked about so much. It's in a creek. There's water running down it. And then the big rocks, the wide open sections. We got dust. We've got water. We got it all.
All right, Schuster just came through 15th in class, 34th overall with a 47.133. But sitting at the line next up, we're going to be switching back to a different class. We do have the 26 of Dwayne Garrettson that will be taking the green flag here in just a moment. So getting those last few UTVs through that did not come through qualifying earlier.
The Ricky Bobby of Ultra 4 Racing, Dwayne Garrettson, part of the 4500 Yukon Gear and Axle modified class. Looks like he'll be first up. So we will be intermixing the 4500 Yukon Gear and Axle modified class with the 4800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class. They're part of the Everyman Challenge class. So they will be qualifying and racing at the same time, but scored separately. So it's a little tricky. It's fun to keep up, just like we're doing with the Open and the Pro Mod UTVs. 2 races going on at the same time. It's a little tricky, but go to live.ultra4racing.com to keep everything straight. But it makes for some great racing action. So what is a 45? So here is Dwayne Garrettson, number 26, with Jeremy Tipton riding shotgun out of Fort Smith, Arkansas, with Come Get You Some Off-Road. And a Jimmy's 4x4 Bronco, Limitless Performance 6-liter, Turbo 400, Atlas, Yukon, Yokohama, Raceline, PRP, Tom Woods, Warren, Custom Splice, Brannick, Limitless, CDL Academy, Patterson Wallhead, Sign, Scranton, Steinjager, Spider Tracks, and Come Get You Some.
And Dwayne Garrettson is coming off a 3rd place finish at Visions. So out here, he was on course yesterday. I'm not sure if he had some issues, but I saw his truck just sitting there. But coming through with a huge bicycle, as I could just see on the drone footage. But he came through with a 48.74. But that corner right there, Miles, I think, like you're saying earlier, it's getting worn in.
Out. So what is the 4500 class? You can have 2.5 shocks per corner, limited to 14 inches of travel. Mechanical steering, maximum of a 37-inch DOT tire, front-mounted engine, but unlimited horsepower.
And the 4500 of Diesel Krentz just took the green flag out on his qualifying lap.
He's got his buddy Eric Spin riding shotgun out of Stanley, North Carolina with Team Stacked Racing for Cool Kids campaign. That's a cancer promotion, so really cool to see him teamed up with Racing for Cool Kids campaign with Team Stacked built 2012 Jeep JKU with a 360 Magnum V8. Atlas, Curry, Rock Crawler suspension, Bilstein, Nitto, Dirty Life race wheels, Adams drive shaft, Stacked off-road, and Light Bright Nation. His first Ultra 4 race was in Kentucky in 2021. So Diesel Krentz putting that V8 to work. We'll see how it stacks up against Dwayne Garrettson, but it's still Dwayne with that 48.74 to Diesel's 46.365.
So it's roughly 6-second difference, and we do have another one coming up to the line here. We'll get that number here in just a moment.
Looks like
actually it's 45.61. Yep, of Cody.
Okay.
Cody St. Clair's getting ready to take the green flag, coming off his win from Visions.
Cody St. Clair, the Texas kid, with his dad Anthony St. Clair riding shotgun out of Ponder, Texas, with SCR Motorsports, Tribe 16 chassis, Thompson LS 408 stroker, Turbo 400, Atlas, Raceline wheels, Cooper tires, Torco oil, full throttle batteries, Dave's Off-Road, Factor 55, and Brannick. His first Ultra 4 race was back in 2015, and like you said, he's fresh off his win at Visions just last month.
And let's see, we know he's going to be pushing it hard, but that bicycle corner, as I'm going to call it, he did not.
And look, they're cutting on the
inside.
inside.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the line. But then it's going to start deteriorating. The soil here is a little different. It's very volatile. Like you said, those ruts are going to develop more and more, and then they're going to go inside. Those ruts are going to develop. Then we were marking course yesterday, or fine-tuning yesterday, checking everything out, and we found this little downhill section. It was a swamp hole. So we went around. This has a little bit of everything.
It does, definitely. Cody St. Clair did take the #1 spot away from Dwayne Garrettson with a 39.617.
And off the line now, the number 36 of Kim Matson with Matt riding shotgun out of Ashton, Maryland with Bad Advice Racing. And a Jesse Haynes fabrication chassis, LS3, Turbo 400, Brannick Motorsports, Alltech, and CarTech. And they've been racing off and on for a very long time, since King of the Hammers back in 2012.
All right, and you can see they're getting ready to exit out of the qualifying lap into that tight
Gets
right
a little
corner.
slideways there, but she keeps her under control. Kim will get a time.
So Kim's time is a 45.707, taking over that #3 spot from Diesel Krentz.
And it's still, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still Hunter Miller with that 35-second run, correct?
Yes, Hunter
Awesome.
Miller still has the fastest qualifying lap of the day so far.
Looks like this is another 4500 Yukon Gear and Axle modified class car.
Yes, that is the 45.17 of Jesse Oliver.
Yes, it is. So Jesse Oliver, 45.17, with Randy Knoll riding shotgun out of White Lake, Michigan, with Oliver Racing. In a Ford-based chassis built by Oliver Racing, Mass Motorsports, LS 427, Edmunds Turbo 400, Atlas, Brannick Motorsports, Warren, Raceline Wheels, Mickey Thompson, Rugged, Magnitude, Ironman, Dynamic Motorsports, Edmunds Speed Shop, and Steinjager. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2013. He's won at AOP. He's won at Rush. This guy, you can never count him out.
And we should have 18 cars take the checker flag this morning for qualifying, but we do have Jesse Oliver coming through right now. Almost looked like he was almost going to bicycle, but kind of did not. Took the inside line a little bit more, like you were saying earlier. But Jesse Oliver comes through in the 3rd spot with a 42.656.
In less than a second, splitting Cody St. Clair and Dwayne Garrettson. Oh, looks like Mick Henson. We were just talking about him. He was having a front drive shaft issue, having a leaf spring issue. Let's talk about that. He had to weld a leaf spring. I can work on cars, but I'm not super technical. But I know it's like spring steel, and you're not supposed to weld on them. But he did, and hey, he's out there making it happen.
Yeah, so he also is a Toyota truck mechanic as well. But here he is taking his qualifying like we were not sure if he was going to do or not. But he is here having mechanical issues. They did allow him to come in a little bit later, like after the class already
Again,
ran.
communicate with our race director, JT Taylor, the one with the green flag right there. Let him know you have some issues, but you're fighting through it, and you want to get out there and qualify. And there goes Mick Henson. He's got Troy Digby riding shotgun out of Tahlequah, Oklahoma, with Rusty Nail Racing. He is in a 1985 Toyota DOE Racing Engine 22RE. Diamond Axle, Warn, Factor 55, Yukon, Raceline, and Trail Gear. His first Ultra 4 race was Rush, Kentucky back in 2021. He got first place at the 918 race last year, first place at Rush this year. We'll see how it happens. Mick Henson wants Hard Rocks. He loves Hard Rocks, and he is a fan favorite. I think this is Mick Henson's race. If he can qualify decent, get out front, it's his race to lose. I think Mick Henson's going to do some great things. But don't forget, Doug Lamford's got a big V8. This has, I'm going to say, 17 horsepower
Right.
probably. I'm joking, but
Something
the
small.
horsepower difference between Mick Henson compared to Doug Lamford in that Jeep, I mean, probably triple to quadruple the horsepower.
Yesterday, he was actually high-centered on a rock over in, I'm not sure exactly
So
what
so
mile
who's
marker.
he? Because I saw everybody
Mick
high
Henson.
center.
I know there was a lot high-centered, but Mick Henson was. And he winched himself, because he was out by himself, winched himself out of the way, and he ended up letting a couple of the drivers go by him because, he was holding up a line. There was
Yep.
a bottleneck happening. But Mick Henson just came through in that number 5 spot with a 55.546. And this looks like it's Hunt.
Caden
Yes.
Hunt. So another UTV. So that's the number 465 of Caden Hunt getting ready to take off. Oh, maybe he pulled off. He was ready. Not sure exactly what's going on, but we'll keep everything flowing. Oh, he's pulling back in. There is a heads-up loop to make sure his transponder's working correctly. So maybe it didn't ding right, so they had to adjust it to make sure everything's going good. That's all speculation, but there is some of the 4,800 cars lined up, it looks like. But yeah, there it goes back to Caden Hunt. We'll see his dad, Chad Hunt, racing in the 4,400 class in his Miller car later on today. If you're just tuning in, this is qualifying during the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. This is about a quarter-mile loop, short, sweet, through the Type Woods here at Famous Reading Outdoors. And it looks like they're going to send him for another loop. Maybe he is having a transponder issue. Again, just guessing, but we just want to make sure everything's running smooth. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're putting him over that transponder loop one more time. That's all about checks and balances, because we don't want to send them out and not get them a time. We want to give them a fair shot and get them a good time.
And speaking of that, if a transponder is not working, they also do have backup of scoring as well. But having that timing right there, ready like we're all used to, hopefully it gets working for him properly. It just could be just in the wrong position, as you were saying. So hopefully he gets to take that green flag. And it looks like he's doing another loop.
We've been qualifying for just over an hour now. We will be racing today at high noon Eastern time, remember, for the 4,900 stock class by themselves. Then at 2:30 Eastern time will be the UTV Pro Mod and UTV Open. And then at 5 p.m. this evening will be the 4,600 Spider Track stock class. Then we'll have our racer appreciation dinner here at the merchandise trailer. And then tomorrow at 10 a.m., the Ultra 4 Youth will be a half-hour race. That'll be a lot of fun to see. 11:30 a.m. we'll kick off the 4,500 Yukon Gear and Axle Modified class with the 4,800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class. And then tomorrow afternoon, the big boys and gals, the 4,400 Unlimited class, kicks off at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Again, everything is Eastern time here, just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, for the famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. So Caden must have had a transponder issue. That looks like Randall Holmes, if I'm not mistaken. And if it is, he's in the 4,800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class. You can have a front or rear-mounted engine, but unlimited horsepower. Vehicle must contain 2 seats side by side, single shock per corner, maximum of a 37-inch DOT tire. Only solid axles are allowed. New specific cars have been built, but this is a great time to take a 4,400 car, put 37-inch tires in a single shock, and kind of retire it, because technology is growing every single day, especially here in Ultra 4.
And there he did take that green flag out on his qualifying loop.
So the 4820 of Randall Holmes with Craig Skibda out of Lewisburg, North Carolina with Race Mile 1 Motorsports and a Liberty Mountain Fab chassis, 5.3 LS, 4L60E Atlas, East Coast Gear Supply, Warren, Liberty Mountain Fab, Raceline Wheels, Radflow, Carolina Epoxy, Tarbanks Brewing, PCI, Barnes 4-wheel drive, Benton Custom Built, and Three Lions Pub. And I keep, so now we're getting into chassis. I've said Tribe 16. I've said Liberty Mountain Fab. I've said Miller Motorsports. What are those? Those are chassis. Those are companies that build specific chassis for Ultra 4 racing. And there's a lot of them out here. We got Jimmy's 4x4. And lots of them, I mean, you can buy a turnkey car, don't get me wrong, but lots of people will buy a chassis and then fit it themselves. But it's just different styles. I'll say IFS later on today, independent front suspension. I'll say solid axle. What's a solid axle? That's just like in your old school Jeep. It's a solid axle, but IFS is in your normal car. It's independent front suspension. And there is an independent rear suspension as well. We'll see later on today. So I'll try to keep everything informed as we go. Looks like that's Brian Moore, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is the 918 of Brian Moore, just taking the green flag.
Brian Crashmore with his brother David Moore riding shotgun out of Tulsa, Oklahoma with Moore Racing in that Blue Torch Fab chassis, LS53, Maxxis, Vision, and he would not be here racing without the Jensen brothers hooking him up with those ORI struts. That's some great technology. So go check out ORI. They've got some really cool things in the works. They kind of used to be really like for rock crawling, but they've done some things, and the Jensen brothers do race with this Ultra 4. They're not here, but again, Brian Moore would not be out here without ORI.
And I love that right here the drone is following through the end of our qualifying loop, but he's taking it just a little bit easy out there on qualifying out here. We have seen a couple bicycles and everything, but the 918 taking that green flag, or checkered flag,
there we go,
at a 57.588.
But it's still in the 4500 Yukon Gear and Axle Modified class. Mr. Cody St. Clair, the Texas kid, with that 39.617. Again, go to live.ultra4racing.com for the same live timing.
And Justin Barth taking the green flag just now.
The number 417 with Anthony Outriding shotgun out of Springfield, Missouri with Barth Racing in a Jimmy's 4x4 48P chassis, LS 427, Turbo 400, Atlas, King Shocks, Walker Evans wheels, and Radial Dynamics. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2014, and he got second place at the 918 last year. Again, thanks for everybody for tuning in to the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. I'm going to give a huge shout out to Jason and Gayla Robinette, all the volunteers, the Ultra 4 USA staff, the AOE crew, media, safety, USAC racers, fans, and marketing partners. We would not be racing here at Famous Reading Outdoors without each and every one of those. We'll be giving away some Cody Wagner 360 wrap laser nut trophies later on today and tomorrow. And again, thanks to Speed Sport, our official broadcast partner. Looks like that's the number 14 of Tim Vassis with Chris Kelly riding shotgun out of Pasadena, Maryland with MWM Racing. In a custom chassis, Jeep 4-liter, NV350, Atlas, Spider Tracks, PRP, Maxxis, Raceline, and Fox.
All right, Justin Barth, he came through. He is first in his class in the 4800 Legends class for qualifying at a 57.588, but third overall. But we shall see here in just a moment whenever we get a qualifying time for Tim what that one will be. But we do have Cody St. Clair in that number 1 spot, Dwayne Garrettson sitting in second, and Justin Barth third overall. Tim Vassis actually just came through with a 49.906 and bumped Justin Barth down into that 4th position. So he is now number 1 in the 4800 Legends class qualifying, but third overall.
This is turning into a great little qualifier. And remember, I think qualifying is huge during this. There goes the 896 of Brian Trimp with Colin Morlock riding shotgun out of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan with Shallow Pockets Racing and a Jeep Armory chassis. LS 408, Tranny Tom Turbo 400, Atlas, 14 bolts front and rear, King Shocks, Mickey Thompson tires, Vision Wheels, Warren, Optima, Yukon, Brannick, Rugged, Ironman Off-Road, Off-Road Anopsis, Edmund Speed Shop, Metro Fab, and Epic Center Graphics. His first Ultra 4 race was AOP 2021, and he won Rush last year with Ultra 4 USA.
He's throwing down a great time.
And like I said, they are cutting that corner closer and closer, trying to stay out of that rut that's starting to develop.
Yes, and Brian Trimp just came through. He is second overall, but first in the 4,800 Legends class. So great time by Brian Trimp with a 41.606. So roughly about a second and a half behind Cody St. Clair's time. And there we do have the 8.66 of Sean Reisky taking the green flag.
With Rick Murray riding shotgun out of Mishawaka, Indiana with 866 Motorsports. That's a fairly new chassis that he built in-house. LS3, Turbo 400, Hero T-Case, PRP, JKS, Brannick Motorsports, Fox, Dirty Life Wheels, Mickey Thompson Tires, Warren East Coast Gear, Steinjager, Mishawaka Auto Parts, and Engine Ice. His first Ultra 4 race was back in 2017 in Davis, Oklahoma. John Reisky was leading the race in Rush, Kentucky just a few months back and had a pretty good tumble. So you got to push hard, but you got to be safe. So we were last night sitting around the car just kind of jazzing each other. And he was like, I'm going to qualify and start up front. I was like, just like you did in Rush right before you rolled. And we got all a good chat. We're all buddies here at Ultra 4 USA. But I know old Sean Rice is going to give it all he's got.
Well, he just did because he threw down the fastest lap so far with a 39.104. So he has taken that number one spot over Cody St. Clair. But we do have the number 53 of Ryan Taylor that just took the green flag.
Ryan Lost Taylor with Corey Day riding shotgun out of North Liberty, Indiana with Team Indiana and Rock Roots Racing in that Trent Fabrication chassis, LS 6-liter, 4L80E, Atlas, Brannick, Yokohama, Raceline, his wife Tiffany, and Action Machine. His first Ultra 4 race was Moab back in 2021. He won Visions last year, Nationals, and he just won in Rush this year. So Ryan Taylor's on to some good things.
All right, Ryan Taylor just took over the number one spot from Sean Reisky as well with a 37.008. So Ryan Taylor in that number one spot, Sean Reisky in second, Cody St. Clair in third, Brian Trimp fourth, and Dwayne Garrettson is rounding out the 5 spot. That horsepower behind us of the 41.22.
It looked like the 48.22 of Chris DeMartini with Nick Stroker riding shotgun out of Herndon, Pennsylvania with Liquid Iron Industries, LS3, 6L80, Atlas, Yukon, Fox, Raceline Nitto, Dave's Off-Road, Liquid Iron Industries, and Maker Off-Road Products. So we'll see what kind of time Chris can throw down. Fairly local man. But this is qualifying, getting everything set up for today and tomorrow. Chris still pushing strong in the back section of this little quarter-mile qualifier. What a great qualifying it has been. A lot of fast guys and gals out there.
All right, Chris just came through 10th overall, but 6th in the 4,800 Legends class with a 45.811. And we do have the 1470 coming up here in just a moment of Jeff Martin.
There we go. So Jeff Martin with Justin Sherwin riding shotgun out of Martinsville, Indiana with Martin Racing in a Get Bent Fab chassis, LS3 418 stroker, Turbo 400, Atlas, Spider Tracks, Yokohama, Method, King, Pack Springs. He's representing the United States Navy Seabees. Jeff Martin running around with Team Indiana. They've got a great crowd out here. They'll be helping each other in the pits. The Amsoil Hot Pits is going to be busy this week. I promise you that. There's going to be tires. There's going to be axles. There's going to be wheels. There's going to be whatever. Oh, he gets a little off. Hits that little ditch. Has a little kicker, but still pushing. Stays on the inside of that rutted lane. So Jeff Martin has a pretty good run. Put him about mid-pack if I had to guess.
Yep, he's sitting in that 9th position. Overall, 6th in class with a 57.588.
Looks like there's one of the Wofford. We have Jason and Mitch racing. Yep, so the Wofford father and son, both in single-seat Polaris RS1s. Apparently we're having some issues earlier, so we're going to try to get them in there and qualified. We've been qualifying for almost an hour and a half. And we just have a few straggler UTVs and then the 4400 Unlimited. So if you have anything to do, you better get it done because they'll be qualifying here very shortly. And then we will take a quick break, reset, and be live racing at high noon here on Eastern Time. That will be a separate feed, so you'll want to, log off and log back in about, 10 or 15 till. And there is the 253.
Yes, the 253 of Mitch Wofford taking the green flag.
Baby Mitch out of Ashland, Tennessee with Razor Extreme in the Pro Modified class and that Polaris Turbo RS1, America's Motorsports, Trinity Racing, ORB, RCV, C&W Pools, all things UTV, and Hickman Motorsports. He's been racing since he was 10. He's been a champion at IXCR, and he got second place last year in Rush. So Mitch Wofford. And up next will be his dad, Jason Wofford, in the stock class. Some great qualifying. Do we have a time for Wofford? Speaking about Wofford, here goes Jason Wofford, number 430. No, that is Caden Hunt. I do apologize.
Oh, so they must have got the timing issue all corrected with him. But Mitch Wofford, really quick, he did come through with an 18th overall, 14th in class.
So Caden Hunt, number 465, out of Plymouth, Indiana, with Hunt's Motorsports. In a Polaris RS1 racing in the stock class. We'll see his dad, Chad Hunt, racing here in a little bit in the 4400 class. We'll see if we'll get Jason Wofford here in just a moment. Those single-seat Polaris is hard to tell who's who until you see a number plate. They all look very similar. Again, not having a co-driver with these hard rocks, these guys and gals are going to have to earn it today during their main race because those rock sections are gnarly, and I promise you there's going to be some mile marker winching out there today.
Definitely 100% going to be out there winching. Let's see where we did have him come through. Trying to find his time.
There is Jason Wofford, number 430, out of Ashland City, Tennessee, with Razor Extreme racing in the stock class. Fresh off his win in Rush, Kentucky, and Visions. In a Polaris RS1, America's Motorsports, Trinity Racing, ORB, RCV, C&W Pools, all things UTV, and Hickman Motorsports. And hearing a little chatter over the Rugged Race Radio, 4400 staging has started. So they'll be getting ready to take that green flag very soon as we're watching Jason Wofford. See if he can take that inside line. He does. Look at those little 32-inch tires. Those are going to be interesting in the rocks later on today.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be questionable, especially on the large boulder sections where yesterday we were seeing quite a few racers that were high-centered. So I'm not sure if it'll be an advantage with them having that shorter wheelbase, and they maybe can work their way around it a little bit differently than the bigger vehicles.
They will be able to weave their way around, absolutely. But like you say, big rocks, they're going to be bellied out. It's going to be an interesting afternoon. These guys and gals are going to really have to earn it, and this is going to showcase Ultra 4 racing. Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be fantastic.
And right now, still the time to beat of the day so far in qualifying is Hunter Miller's time at a 35.077. The UTVs, as we were talking earlier, they do have the fastest times. So it's all going to be about, are the 4400s going to be that quick? Probably not, but we shall see, because here we are taking the green flag. That is the 797 of Jan Petrie.
He's riding solo. So this is the 4400 class presented by Good Boy Vodka. This is Petro Jan, the 797 out of St. Columban, Canada. Custom chassis, LS3, Turbo 400, SCS, Elka suspension, Raceline wheels, Maxxis tires, AMSOIL, TMR, Customs, and LM 4x4. His first Ultra 4 race was Visions last month, so this is his second race with us. Great to see Petro Shot Jan out there racing. And this is the 4400 Unlimited class, the biggest and baddest names in the sport. Unlimited suspension, unlimited horsepower. We're going to see what kind of time we can throw down. There's a 41.709 by Jan. But wait till the Bleilers. Wait till Eric Miller. We've got some Kings that'll be racing. This is gonna be fast. We rode along with Josh Bleiler earlier this morning. You saw his qualifier shot from yesterday,
which was really cool to see you guys doing that. And right now, that is the 906 of Tad Dacker that just took the green flag.
With Andy riding shotgun out of Quaden, Michigan, with North Shore Raceworks with a Trent Fab solid axle machine, Bambi, LSX 454, 4L80, SCS, Off-Road Research, Mickey Thompson Tires, Raceline, Warren Fox, and Baja Design. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2019. They bought this car from Dave Cole back then in the day. Mr. King of the Hammers himself will be racing with them once again in February for King of the Hammers, the first Ultra 4 USA race of the season. So we'll get a time for Tad here very shortly.
Yes, Tad just came through with a 38.822, so he took over that number one spot, but we shall see if it holds. We have so many heavy hitters still coming out, and it's going to be an exciting last part of our qualifying for the day before we go live racing. Lots of our drivers that are double duty have already been out there, but we do have the 463 that just took the green flag of Jean Morin.
That's JP. That's what he goes by, yep. JP Morin, with Mark Smid riding shotgun out of Ontario, Canada, with Greasy Clown Motorsports and a TMR solid axle machine, LS2, Reed Turbo 400, Atlas, Nitto, Dirty Life, Brannick, King, LM 4x4, Ottawa Driveshaft, and Gearworks. His first Ultra 4 race was last year at Legends there in J. Oklahoma at Mid-America Outdoors. So we'll see what kind of time JP can throw down. We should have roughly 20 drivers in the 4400 Unlimited class. All together for the first time ever here at Famous Redding, 100 competitors, super impressive. And we are so excited to be here right now during qualifying at the Famous Redding Rumble presented by Project X just outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
All right, J.P. Morin just came in with a 43.357, puts him sitting in that number 3 spot. But up next, we shall see, I believe it is the 928 coming through here of Matt Garofalo. I'm sure I just totally butchered that name.
Nope, you nailed it. Garofalo.
Did I nail it?
Yep. He's got his brother riding shotgun with him, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Garofalo. Or we're both messing it up. That could be it, too. Out of Rochester, New York, with Mad Dog Racing in a custom chassis, M4WD and Fab, DMR Auto Sales, Alltech, McManus Racing, Flex Rock 4x4, Lugnut 4x4, and Solid Axle Industries. So we'll see if that Mad Dog Racing machine with the Garofalo brothers piloting, how they can do on this quarter-mile qualifier. Later on today and tomorrow, the racetrack, lots of wide open, some water, some mud, huge rocks on a 10.75-mile loop. All classes will run an hour and a half, then the white flag comes out, except for 4400, who we're watching right now. We'll do 2 hours till the white flag comes out. Garofalo moves into second spot with a 41.313, but the fastest time is Tad Dacker with that 38.822. But I do think, is it going to be Bleilers, Miller with a 35? I think it could happen.
Well, and it's very interesting to see these times right now. So Tad with that 38.822, he's a very fast racer out here as well. But Hunter Miller still with that 35.077. It might possibly get beat by one of these other drivers.
It could, but wait till we throw in the rocks. I think the big cars are going to have a huge advantage in the big gnarly rock sections. These UTVs are going to be struggling there.
100%. We saw it, like we keep talking about. We saw it yesterday during not qualifying, but during their pre-running. So many issues going on.
And if you are the pole setter in your class, you do get 7 important points heading towards the East, West, and National points. And sitting on the pole position right now is Tad Dowker, who is currently sitting in third position in the East for the 4,400 class. If you win this race, you do get 1,000 points. Then it goes 975 for second, 965 for third. Fourth on down is 5 points less. You must complete 2/3 of the race to get your points. Otherwise, you get 200 points to start. I just covered the 7 points for the fastest qualifier per class. And the top 10 non-qualified racers in the 4,400 class for King of the Hammers get registered for the King of the Hammers right here.
And those 7 points are so key to get when it comes down to the end of the season with, if you're running close in points, sometimes that will be the only thing that will determine it.
So another Canadian, Glenny Page with Bill McGivens. I recognize William McGivens. He's drives with Ultra 4 USA sometimes. I think he either sold a car or is building a car, so he hopped in with his buddy Glenny. The number 464 out of Ontario, Canada with Greasy Clowns Racing and a Get Bent Fab chassis. Northern Force Hydrovac, Rival Hydrovac, Summit Truck Equipment, Bidwell Financial, and Hammerhead. And he is stopped on course right at the end. You can see the checkered flag. What is going on with Glenny Page? Tough break for him. There's Gus Fisher going down there to evaluate the situation, see if we need to get him yanked out. So remember, this race is on adjusted time, so if he does not get a qualifying run, that's okay. He just takes a rear start. Does that go into strategy? Absolutely. But you can absolutely start from the back of the pack and win this race. It just goes, what's going to happen? Are there going to be bottlenecks in the rock sections? Is the joker line going to be plugged? When do you take the joker line? If it's open, take it. Or I'm on my last lap. I know I have to take the joker line. Now there's 10 people in here. I mean, this race is going to change dramatically.
100%.
And all meat, no taters joker section.
Yes, 100%. And your questions that you're sitting there saying, yes and yes.
yes, and yes. So Glenny Page moving way off pace, but he will get a finish. So he will start in front of anybody that does not qualify, but obviously his qualifying time is going to put him at the back of the pack.
Yes,
tough break for Glenny Page.
Something, not sure what it is, but I believe that we do have, this is the man, Mr. Paul Wolf, coming up to take the green flag in that 10:18.
So he is leading the 4,400 Eastern Poise, Mr. Paul Wolf, the number 1018. It's his birthday this weekend. He's a Mid-America ambassador out in Illinois. I believe he's undefeated in the Eastern Series as well with Wolf Racing in the 2018 UFO single seat IFS machine, LSX 434, one of the highest horsepower machines out here, I promise you that. ATO 4L80E, SCST case, Raceline wheels, Nitto, MAO, Radflow, Alltech, Optima, Project X, RCV, Brannick, FK, Hickman Motorsports, Rugged, Warren Tube Works, and JB Scales. And look at him. This is going to be the new fastest time, I promise you that. And it is with a 34.722. So beats the time of Hunter Miller in his UTV. Paul Wolf just laid down a heater. So sitting in that pole position, Mr. Paul Wolf.
100%, and it's definitely key that he's already been out on the qualifier this morning. He did a bicycle, as we saw, and you know that we learned from that. But we had the number 41 of Josh Blyler out on course, and he is definitely one that's going to be trying to beat Paul Wolf's time.
Former King of the Hammers winner, Josh Blyler with Jared Urban riding shotgun, number 41 out of Klingerstown, Pennsylvania, with Big B Motorsports and a Miller Motorsports Pro chassis, straight axle, Mapco LS7, Gearworks Turbo 400, Dynamic, Atlas, Spider Tracks, Method, Nitto, Fox, Yukon, OK Four-Wheel Drive, and Line Mountain Racing. He won King of the Hammers in 2020, and he is all over getting completely sideways. Where's he going to be? Sitting in that second position by about 2 seconds with a 36. Pam, this is getting excited. I love this part.
But Paul Wolf, he definitely has the target on his back because everybody right now is wanting to try to beat that time. Off the line.
Chad Owens, possibly?
That is Chad Owens in the number 60.
So Chowens himself with TJ Lenning riding shotgun out of Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. He'll be racing Line Mountain on Sunday as well, I believe, with Owens Racing in an Owens Engineering chassis, LSX 454, Turbo 400, Atlas, OK four-wheel drive, Highline Off-Road, Lenning and Cosmer Cole, Newton Custom Auto, Mountain House Hydraulics. And he's been racing Line Mountain for a long time, but loves to come out here and play with us here with Ultra 4 as well. But let's talk about Paul Wolf and Josh Blyler. They were smoking. The drone couldn't even keep up.
Exactly. And Chad Owens, he just came through in that number 3 spot with a 37.273. Now, Miles, let's talk about this. You were talking about the IFS and the solid axle. So yesterday on course, talking with Eric Miller as he's out there pre-running and he's trying to, look at his lines for the Joker line. My question was, do you think that the solid axle will be a better choice or a better car?
So we always have that talk, IFS versus solid axle. Solid axle here is going to be an advantage in the rocks, I promise. But there is some wide open spots, so we'll see how it all shakes out. Paul Wolf has the advantage in the wide open. Blylers and Millers have the advantage in the trees and the rocks. It's going to be down to driving. It's going to be absolutely amazing, as we just saw Roger King and Justin Cowart take off the 124 out of Sparta, Tennessee, with Team Robbie Bobby in a Colville solid axle machine, LS3 Magnum Turbo 400, 205 T-Case, Griffin, Brannick, Raceline, Mickey Thompson, and Will Wood. And tuning in all the way from New Zealand is Caleb Thompson tuning in. It's midnight where he's at, loving it. Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in, Caleb.
All right, Roger King coming through with a 45.100, sitting in that 8th spot. All right, next off the line, we do have the 696 of Seb Peralt. Taking that green flag. We'll see Seb coming into screen there, making that left-hand turn, getting ready to exit out of the qualifying loop. And hear him on the gas is such a great sound first thing in the morning. Little tiny bit of a bicycle, but coming through, getting a great time, sitting in that number 4 spot with a 38.490.
Sorry, I had some stuff going on. I missed that one, but that was a great run. That was Seb, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
He's a IFS and IRS. Next off the line, looks like it's Chris Branton, the 4046. Chris Kamikaze Branton with Ryan Reb riding shotgun out of Bossier City, Louisiana, with Upside Down Racing and a Jimmy's 2C IFS chassis, LSX 427, Maximum Turbo 400, SCS, Kryptonite Custom, Raceline Wheels, USD Sticky, Liquimolly, Diddy's Big Block Race Shop, Warren, and his kids' college fund, and his wife's permission, of course. He's been racing with us for quite a while. Does a little bit of a bicycle, but all over the throttle with those huge USD Sticky tires.
Yes, he had a great qualifying run just now with a 37.202, sitting in that number 3 spot. So great run by Christopher Branton. And there we do have the 44.8 of Jody Ford waiting to take that green flag. He's already done it once this morning in the UTV.
And I hope you recognize that number, Pam. That's the 4408. Stan Haynes, that owns Brannick Motorsports, gifted him that number. That is Jody Ford, the number 4408, with Corey Day riding shotgun, making his debut in the 4400 class. He bought that car, only had about an hour of runtime before he came to this track out of Markle, Indiana, with Brannick Motorsports in a Miller Motorsports chassis. Texas Speed 427, Turbo 400, Atlas, Brannick Motorsports, Method, and Nitto. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers back in 2018, but it's his 4400 debut for Jody Ford. We'll see what kind of time he's got, and it looks very, very respectable.
Oh, wow.
Holy
He just took over the number 2 spot from Josh Blyler with a 35.773.
By just under a second. So Jody Ford playing with the big dogs.
Wow.
Stoked for you, buddy. Now you can go rip it into Josh Blyler a little bit, but what a great, great run by Jody Ford. Up next is Philip McGilton with Dr. Amanda Ross riding shotgun out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama with 47 Motorsports. In a 2020 Jimmy's 4x4 48P chassis, 2-seat straight axle, Showfield Performance LSX 454, Maximum Turbo 400, Hero TK, Spider Tracks, Yukon, Radflow, BFG, KMC, Vivid Lumen Industries, Holly EFI, and Southern Tire Mart, and Pilot and Flying J.
Well, let's just talk about it. Paul Wolf is still sitting in that number 1 spot with a 34.722. Philip McGilton just went through with a 35.426, sitting in that number 2 spot, took over from Jody Ford. So these times are getting mixed up back and forth. It's super cool to see, but we do have the 44.26 of Kevin Porterfield out on race course.
With Kyle Hathaway riding shotgun out of St. Clairsville, Ohio with Porterfield Motorsports. In a wide open design 2C IFS machine. Maximum Turbo 400, Atlas, Crane Axles, PRP, Mickey Thompson, Trail Ready, and RCV, and Liberty Mountain Fab. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers back in 2016. We'll get a time for Porterfield. We saw him pre-running yesterday in a solid axle machine, but he'll be racing this wide open design. Adam Woodley built beautiful car here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania for the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble, presented by Project X Off-Road.
And Kevin Porterfield went through. He's sitting in that number 9 position, but we do have Chad Hunt just now taking the green flag.
Chad Hunt Smiley himself with Rick Murray riding shotgun out of Plymouth, Indiana with Hunt's Motorsports in a 2022 Miller Pro chassis, Mass Motorsports LS 427, 4L80E, transmission, SCS, Brannick, Nitto, Method, Fox, Radial Dynamic, and Indian Muscle Cars. His first Ultra 4 was Badlands back in 2013, and he is a big part of Team Indiana. See if he can put that Miller Motor Sports Pro chassis to work. And there's a lot of Miller cars that will be racing. Again, that's a chassis manufacturer. It's a straight axle. It is built for the tight trees. It's built for the rocks. It's going to be between Paul Wolf or a Miller car. I promise you that, Pam.
Yes, and Chad Hunt just came through in that number 5 position with a 37.193. And there we do have Casey Gilbert taking the green flag. And the number 618.
With Nature Boy Nate riding shotgun out of Fenton, Michigan with Gilbert Brothers Racing and another Miller Pro chassis, Mass Motorsports LS7, Tranny Tom Turbo 400, SCS TK, Brannick, Spider Tracks, Nitto, Method, Fox, Impact, Dynamic Motorsports, Big B, Rugged, Warn, Yukon, Magnitude, Collins, and Ironman. Casey Gilbert's been racing with us for a very long time. He raced 4,800 for a long time, but stepped on a huge bicycle, was able to save it. Barely, yes, he does. Almost smokes the timing car, but was able to save it. Casey Gilbert giving it all he's got, doing a little dancing for the crowd. That was a great show. That's going to cost him probably 5 seconds. Tough break there, but he did not hit anything. So, wow, what a great shot. That was pretty impressive.
He's still in 13th position, though, so he's not in that last spot. I mean, it's a little bit of a hiccup there with a 42.612, but he was running an amazing time. But that is by far the biggest bicycle we have seen so far today.
And again, if you were just tuning in, this is the 4,400 Unlimited class presented by Good Boy Vodka.
And taking the green flag is a 44.17 of Jonathan Dawes.
With Justin Sherwin riding shotgun out of Mooresville, Indiana with Dirt Weapon Off-Road in a Trent Fab straight axle chassis. Texas Speed 418, Tranny Tom 4L80E, Atlas, Alltech Motorsports, Fox Shocks, KMC, Maxxis, Brannick Motorsports, All Out Ironworks, Radial Dynamics, and Liberty Mountain Fab. He raced back in 2013, took a little break, He's been in the pits, but he debuted this car just this season. It's great to see Jonathan Dawes out there in that car racing with us here at Ultra 4 USA.
Coming in hot on that last corner, getting the checkered flag. Jonathan Dawes coming through in that number 11 position in the 44-17 with a 41.213.
So where's
is
Rusty Blyler? Where's
he's
Eric
up
Miller?
next.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I was getting ready to say that. Rusty Blyler's on the line, getting ready to take the green flag.
So Rusty Blyler with Shade Erdman riding shotgun, number 46 out of Klingerstown, Pennsylvania with Big B Motorsports. Miller Motorsports chassis, Mapco LS7, Gearworks Turbo 400, Dynamic, Atlas, Spider Tracks, Method, Nitto, Fox, Yukon, OK four-wheel drive, Line Mountain Racing, the Happy Pappy out there on course.
And he's always one that's super quick out here on the race course. It's super awesome to see all these, the Blylers, all these Miller chassis out here, all these guys out here racing out here for us. And they're locals here. So Rusty and Josh are from
they're
about 30
37 minutes
Yeah.
away. And Rusty Blyler was the Rookie of the Year for Ultra 4 back in 2018, getting a little slideways on that last corner. That should be a very respectable time. Looks like 8th place. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes, that did put him in the 8th position with a 38.138, but we do have now coming up Mr. Eric Miller himself, who's building all of these Miller Motorsports chassis.
Mr. Miller
That's
Motorsports.
exactly what I
Yep.
said, yeah.
A two-time King of the Hammers winner. So Eric Miller with Nathan Stowers riding shotgun out of Cumberland, Maryland with Miller Motorsports and a Miller Pro chassis. Jeff Ginter LS7, Maximum Turbo 400, Atlas, Nitto, Spider Tracks, Optima, Fox, HMC, Method, Howe, Meekum, FK, Grizzly, Power Tank, Warren, Miller Welders, Fuel Safe, Rugged, JE Reel, Sunco, Factor 55, KC Highlights, IMOC, Impact, and Yukon. He won King of the Hammers back in 2012 and in 16 was the national champion in 18. He won AOP last year. What can Eric Miller do? Another little bicycle, but was able to save it. Eric Miller could have a great run. Does that move him in top 5?
It did. It put him in that number 4 spot with a 36.439.
What a great run. So that looks like it's most of the cars. The clock starts now. There's a 5-minute window. If no cars show up in the next 5 minutes, we will close qualifying. There are a few cars we missed for sure, but if they miss their qualifying, they will take a rear start. Remember, this race is on adjusted time, so technically you're racing your own time. So do you have to qualify? No. Should you qualify? I think so.
Yeah, definitely key for qualifying out here. But we did have 19 cars in the 4400 class take the green flag. All 19 cars did qualify, but we do have somebody pulling up to the line. Can't quite make out the car of the number. It's number 26, I believe.
28?
Or 28.
So that looks like a 4800 class car.
I believe they just pulled in this morning too. Somebody pulled in later this morning. Not everybody could show up yesterday, but I did see a late arrival.
Yes, that is James Panzella. That's a Jimmy's car. So showed up late, got here, but hey, he's here.
Talk about hitting the ground running when you show up somewhere.
So James Panzella, number 28, out of Bay Head, New Jersey, with ECR Racing. And a Jimmy's chassis, LQ9 Turbo 400, Hero TKs, King, PRP, Spider Tracks, Nitto, and Vision. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers 2021. Grew up racing motocross, and he's been jeeping for a long time, but new to Ultra 4, like I said, about last year. Great to see him out here racing with us. But it is Paul Wolf with the fastest lap of the day. That man was on a mission. He had a great run in his UTV, but in the 4400 with that 34.722. So, Pam, guess what? I was a quarter of a second off. That ain't bad.
Not bad at all, Miles. And you were also saying about qualifying would probably be over around 10 o'clock. We were expecting a little bit later. It's it's almost 10.
Yep, we got a good thing going. So we will. Here in a little bit, we're not closing out yet, but we will shut down the feeds and be back about a quarter till noon. Remember, everything is Eastern time. We'll have 2 UTV races, then the Spider Track stock class tonight. Then tomorrow, 10 a.m., we'll do the youth classes. And James Panzella is off, crossing the Project X start-finish line.
So we did have 3 other cars that did not come out here and qualify. Could be strategy. Might be coming in a little bit later if they did have issues. But we do have 3 other cars that have not qualified in this class. But James out on the course. See, I mean, he literally just got here, so let's see.
He hadn't even seen the qualifier, so he's seen it for the first time right now.
I mean, that's where you're sitting back in your trailer waiting for your time to go or whatever, if he even had time to do that, and watching what these drivers are doing. I don't think he would have had time to do that kind of homework, though.
He was probably watching the live feed a little bit just to kind of get his bearings around it. But the checkered flag is out for Mr. James Panzella.
But that does put him in the 10th position overall, but 7th in the 4800 Legends class.
Was that another car? It looks like. Yep, we got another car coming in.
I believe that's
that's George Schooley, part of the 4800 Brannick Motorsports Legends class.
George taking that green flag.
George Schooley with his daughter Cameron Schooley riding shotgun out of Westminster, Maryland, with Legacy Off-Road Racing and a Miller Pro chassis, Dart 334 engine, Rogers Turbo 400, Atlas, Spider Tracks, Nitto, Method, Fox, Legacy Septic, Holly, Odyssey, Factor 55, Rugged, Yukon, and Big B. He's been off-roading his whole life. His first Ultra 4 race was King of the Hammers back in 2016. And talking about King of the Hammers, this car he's driving right now won King of the Hammers with Eric Miller behind the wheel. This car has won a lot of Ultra 4 races. It's been around a very long time.
And George just came through with 8th overall in position, but 6th in the 4800s class, so he is at a 44.316. So great job by George.
So there is a 5-minute window that's going to start right now. That qualifying will be over if we don't get any cars last second. This is your last chance. If you're in the Amsoil Hot Pits, come on over, check it out. You have about 4.5 minutes left before we close qualifying and then go live racing at high noon. So thanks again for everybody for tuning in. This has been the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. And speaking about Project X, I've got Mr. Paul Wolf fresh in the booth, and you just picked up Project X, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, sir. We were looking to do some stuff with lighting, especially with Crandon coming up. We do a night race there, and I remember last year the Broncos had some pretty bright lights, so I picked them up, and they worked out really well.
Yeah, no, it's so. Well, you didn't need them today for that qualifier. You laid down a heater. I mean, you beat. I think it was over a second over Blyler. It was absolutely amazing. You had a pretty good little bicycle in the UTV, but the fastest man of the day, just shy of a 35-second. That is pretty impressive, Paul.
It went well. The UTV, I drive 2 different cars for those of you at home that don't know, and the UTV is a lot narrower, obviously, and it wanted a 2-wheel lot, which I was surprised. I really wasn't expecting that after running practice lap on it, And they got so much loam out there, so much dirt buildup.
The dirt's a little goofy here. It really deteriorates and builds a big berm.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of traction. Once it deteriorates that, and you get out in that loam, it makes a bunch of traction compared to the real slick, smooth stuff. So I would back the UTV into the cushion, and the car would just stand up on me. And I actually, a couple times in the woods, I don't know if it was on the live feed, I had it up there on 2 tires. So I was pushing
you
pretty
were
hard.
giving all you had, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was pushing it, and it responded well, but it also gave me information going into the 44, and the truck's a little wider, and I know I got a lot more power, a lot more torque on tap. So the truck starts to stand up, I can just stand on the throttle, and it'll
bring it
slide 'em
back
up,
down.
and it'll set it back down.
So yeah, the qualifying went good. You're in the pole position for the 4400 class. I believe you're leading the points in the East, so those 7 extra points do not hurt anything. That sets you up real nice.
Yeah. So this race here, if I can do good here, it really sets me up. We got 3 East races, and we only take 2 of them. So if I can do really good at 2, and then at the last one coming up, I got a little wiggle room.
Yeah, you got a little breathing room.
Yeah,
so
a little less stress.
I want to talk about strategy. During the Driver's Summit at Visions, you spoke up and asked JT, you said, hey, I want some harder courses. And guess what? We gave it to you. This course is tough.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to the true Ultra 4, the nature of what Ultra 4 is. And I think we're going to see it today in the UTVs especially, and in the 44 class tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of carnage and a lot of conserving the car. It's not going to be just an outright sprint like it has been in the past. So it's kind of a game to play, you know, and I'm even in that battle right now on the UTV, whether to run a bigger tire and go slower in the straights or run the smaller tire, be really fast in the straights, but I'm going to struggle a little bit in the rocks.
I love strategy, the Joker line. And I'm going to go back to, you want harder courses.
Yes.
You're in a single seat car in the 4400 and the UTV. I think there's going to be some winching involved. You asked for hard, it's here. What's your thought are you planning on winching? Hopefully not, obviously. But if you winch, what's your plan?
I'm not planning on winching. If I winch, I just got to get out and do it.
By yourself. I mean, that's tough.
It's just you got to do it. Don't think about it. Don't mess around. Just do your job. As far as the 4400 truck, I think I got a superior vehicle. I think I got one of the best trucks on the market that you can possibly get with Joe Thompson.
That UFO is absolutely beautiful. And we were Pam and I were talking about that while you were racing. IFS versus solid axle. Obviously, IFS in the desert, in the wide open's faster. But in the rocks, these Miller chassis in the tight trees are hard to beat. So it's going to be very interesting to see how you and the Miller cars play out. But you're saying it's superior. You go out and show us. But I think you got your work cut out for you today, buddy.
Oh, for sure. And Eric and them and Bleilers are they'll be right on top of me. Even Philip Magilton, he's been coming out of nowhere. He's just running us down too with the solid axle. So I think I'm the only IFS guy here. So
there's a few of them, but you're definitely the top tier for sure.
Yeah, in the top, I guess 5 qualifying if I looked. Sorry.
Yeah. Top 5 in qualifying. Otherwise, it's those solid axle Miller cars that are right there with you. So I want to talk strategy one more time. Joker line. That's a really cool section. You enter it. It's a beautiful little rock section with a stream running down it, so the rocks are wet. When do you take that? Do you take it? So I'm going to say my strategy. If I was racing, Joker line's open, I'm taking it. If you think somebody's in there, I'll bypass it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty similar. I'm going to probably take it first lap. If I beat the guy off the starting line next to me and I'm out front, I'm going to take it. I think you have to have it to be able to get points. So if I wait to the end, let's say I hurt the car somewhere else and I got 3-wheel drive,
then you're winching by yourself again. Yep.
Yeah, and then you're never going to make it through the Joker line with 3 tires. You're going to have a whole mess. And then plus you got the chances of other cars getting in there and getting broke. Then you go to run it, you have to move them just so you can get your Joker line lap in. So I'm going to try to take it early, get it done, get it out of the way, and then start running the rest of the race. Yeah,
well, so we'll finish out talking about the Joker. You have to run it once. You can only run it once, so that's going to be very interesting. And it does cut off, I'm going to say, a half mile of the course, so it's a shortcut. So if you're up front, you're on the pole. If you can get there first, take the Joker. I think you can gain a little speed if they skip the Joker. So I think your strategy is playing right into where you want.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely in the 44 Joker. It's a rowdy line. Like I had the truck down in it, and there's I'm pretty narrow being a single seat, and I had rocks up against the cab and stuff on it. So the wider cars and stuff, body wise, they're going to be rubbing a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see it all shake out. Qualifying is just wrapped up. The getting a little chatter through over the Rugged Race Radio. Qualifying's done. Qualifying's over. It was great qualifying. You put on one heck of a show, everybody. So thanks again, Paul Wolf, for everything, buddy. I'm excited to see you race later on today and tomorrow in the 4400 class. We are going to be signing off here very shortly. We will be back live at 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time and kick off our first UTV race. Again, Paul Wolf, I appreciate everything. Great run there. Pam Hall and myself, Miles Haskell, will be back here at 11:50. And Paul, what a great qualifier. Good luck at all your racing. It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race. Definitely check it out, everybody. It's going to be pretty rowdy. I'd say about the 3rd or 4th lap, you're going to start seeing stuff.
Well, thanks for everybody tuning in. We will be back live here in a couple hours. This is the 2023 Famous Reading Rumble presented by Project X. Paul Wolf, thanks for joining us in the booth. We'll be back at 11:50 a.m.